If you've just bought a flash and you can't find someone to model for you, this is a fun little exercise you can do at home on your own. In part 1, I showed you how to photograph portraits with off-camera flash, both indoors and out. But sometimes it's hard to get someone to model for you, especially if you're just learning about flash photography. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, click on the eye in the corner or the link in the description. Now, if you do shoot with Godox flashes or you're looking to buy into this system, just make sure you have the right one for your camera brand. The S in the title of the trigger and the flash that I have means that it's made for the Sony system. If it has a C at the end of the name, that's made for Canon. An N means it's made for the Nikon cameras, F for Fuji, O for Olympus and Panasonic because they use exactly the same mounts, and then P for Pentax. I'm going to be showing you a simple exercise today photographing a wine glass. It can teach you a lot about photography, a lot about how light works with your subject, and how placing a flash in different locations around your subject can really change how your subject looks. Now start with the settings at ISO 100, f8, 1/250th of a second and a 1/4 power flash. I'll just dial those in now, and because I've got that trigger, I can just change the power of the flash from here. So I've got it in the softbox and I'll change that to a 1/4 power. Then I'll just focus and then get the shot. I've literally just put the flash to one side of it so it's perpendicular to the way that I'm shooting. But I can move that around and kind of get lots of different shots of this one glass. Now that last shot was a little bit overexposed, and what I can do is drop the exposure down. Now I can't really change the shutter speed unless I go into that high speed sync. Then I kind of lose a fair bit of power. So what I'm going to do is change the aperture. So I'm going to close that aperture down a little bit just to see what happens. So I'll go to f11. That's a little bit better. What I'm going to do is increase the power of the flash. So you can see it's just playing around with those settings just to see what happens. Now that's gone back to what it was before. So I closed the aperture down, losing a stop of light, but then I increased the flash power by 1 stop of light. So basically that's the same as the first shot. So again, I'll drop the power back down to a 1/4. Maybe drop it down to 1/8. just to see what happens. So you can see it's just playing around with those settings. That's literally all you need to do with flash photography. Change 1, but don't change 2. The problem is if you change more than 1, you might get a bit lost, but just change the flash power, then just change the shutter speed, then just change the aperture, and then just change the ISO. And this will give you a really good understanding of what each of those settings are doing. Now, I kind of like the look of that shot. So what I'm going to do now is move the flash about. So first of all, I'll bring it to 45 degrees, so it's not in the frame. There we go, somewhere about there. Now that is very much a direct flash, and it's bouncing off the dartboard that I've got in the background. So it's not a very good shot. So I'll move it around a bit. So we've already had one at 90 degrees. So I'm going to move it around to, what would it be, 135 degrees, I think it is. So I'll try that. Now that's come out really nice. It's backlit the glass because of the reflectiveness of that glass. It's bouncing off it and it's giving a really nice shot. Really like that one. That's my favorite so far. And also there's a few watermarks that I couldn't get off the glass, and it's kind of hidden those in the dark parts. Now this next one, I've put it directly behind the glass. So let's see what happens now. Now with this shot that I've taken, it's pretty much blown out the glass and I can just about see where the glass is. If you're in a really dark room, this will kind of add to that glass and it'll make this shot look really nice. I can't do that because this is so light. Now there is one way around it where you can get 2 dark boards and hold them either side. I don't have those, but I've got a couple of cushions from the sofa. I'm going to put those either side. So you can basically use anything as long as it's dark material, and it'll really change the look of the shot. I'll just put it in the self-timer mode, and I've got 10 seconds. So I'm going to put a cushion either side and hope it's not in the frame. Now that's a subtle difference, but it does make a difference. It didn't work so well because the cushions I've got aren't completely black. But if you get two completely black boards and hold them as close as you can to the glass, it'll really accentuate those edges. It's a really nice shot to get as well. Now the next one is to put a black board, bigger than the glass but smaller than the flash, behind the glass, so it goes in between the flash and the glass, and you can almost get the opposite, so you can get a low-key shot of the glass. So I'm going to try that now. Let's see if this works. That has kind of worked, but not quite. There's a gap at the bottom of this. This is basically the sandbag that's going to hold my light stand down outside. I basically need a small black square to go behind it. Now this is me completely improvising, but we'll see how this works. There we go, that's a really nice shot. Now with this one, I don't have it, but if you have a pane of glass, you can put that on the table, or maybe a porcelain tile as well. Anything that's really reflective and flat, if you put the glass on that surface, you'll get a lovely reflection, and then also you'll get a reflection of the background as well. So you can see with this, there's so many different things you can do and so many different ways to shoot that glass. Now, if you take your flash and put it all the way around in lots of different positions, you'll see how that glass changes when you change the angle of the flash. And that's the beauty with off-camera flash. It's not connected to your camera, so you can place it wherever you want to. Another tip with this one is that if you don't have a glass table or a porcelain tile to put the glass on to get a nice reflection, just balance one glass on top of the other. This will give the impression that there's a mirror image of the glass below it, and when people look at your photograph, they'll think that you had the glass on a mirror or on a glass table. And this is a really good way to trick your viewer into seeing something that isn't actually there. With this exercise, you can learn a lot about how that light hits the glass and how the light interacts with your subject. Also, if you have an action figurine or if one of your kids has a doll or something like that, try this same exercise with that as well. Any small object in the house will work, and it's a great way to see how the light falls on your subject and how the light falls on different subjects. Now, if you have a second flash, it's really good to introduce this as well. It is all about experimenting to see what you like and to see what produces a good photograph, as well as getting used to your camera and used to your flash and knowing how to set it up. So when you do take a photograph of someone or you're doing a portrait shoot, you can very quickly dial in those settings. Now, have you tried this exercise? And if so, how did you get on? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like the idea of flash photography but don't have a clue about where to start with your settings, you have to watch this video next. I'll see you next time.